Leon Bailey is back. Well, sort of. He got the winner today and a massive, massive confidence boost. And Aston Villa got the victory 2-1 against Leicester. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're marching on to 5K. We're literally, I think, 70 away from 5K. So you can help us get there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Get involved in the comments. Yes, we got the 2-1 victory. It was a much, much, much needed victory. It was a very, very difficult and frustrating game. It was as disjointed as the stream I was watching on, which was terrible. And yeah, until the 60th minute, 58th minute, when we got the first goal, the game was just meandering into nothing. The first half, I couldn't even tell you anything that happened. Absolutely devoid of any movement, devoid of any urgency, devoid of any creativity, devoid of anyone taking any risks. And yes, you could say we didn't concede in that first 10 to 15 minutes, but it seemed to be any team that comes up, we come up against, that puts 10 men behind the ball and is very defensive, we really struggle to break that down. And I guess the only positive you could say is, like I said, we didn't concede that early goal. Few changes to the first starting team. Obviously, Emi Martinez in goal. We knew that some were enforced. Matty Cash coming back in at right back. Ezri Konsa and Tyra Mings in at centre back, reuniting that partnership from years gone by. And then Luke Dean at left back. Ross Barkley coming in the central midfield alongside Boubacar Kamara, which a little bit of a surprise. I thought maybe Onana would come in. And then John McGinn ahead of them, those two, with Yuri Tielemans in that number 10, Leon Bailey off the right, and Ollie Watkins up front. And I guess the only things to really talk about in that first half was the lack of touches for Ollie Watkins. I think it was something like 4 touches or half. Leon Bailey constantly giving the ball away and just not getting at all into the game. Yes, he had one little run down the right-hand side where he managed to put a crossing with his right that Matty Cash bundled into Vestergaard with. But apart from that, he gave the ball away pretty much every time he got into a good position. And I could see Aston Villa supporters getting extremely frustrated with him. And he obviously getting frustrated with himself. Jacob Ramsey had to come on after 19 minutes for John McGinn, who pulled up with a hamstring injury. So hopefully Ramsey can find some form and keep some fitness, because that's a few more injuries cropping up. Hopefully John McGinn, I doubt he'll play against West Ham now in the FA Cup, so that gives him 10 days or so to rest. But McGinn injured now, Pau Torres obviously injured as well. So these little niggly injuries are starting to rack up. But we went in at halftime 0-0. Come out into the second half thinking, yes, let's put some urgency into it. And again, it wasn't too much. There was a little bit more intense. There was a little bit more tempo. And I was saying to the lads, the Villa Park pod lads in the group, we've got to move the ball quicker through midfield. And because I felt Ross Barkley and Boubacar Kamara were kind of waiting for something to happen rather than making something happen. And to be fair to Ross Barkley, it was him that ignited it. He took the ball just inside the Leicester half, ran through, hit the shot, it got deflected and went over the bar. And that was a kind of sign of intent. We had the corner. And we kept the ball alive, constantly keeping it alive. The ball goes out onto the left-hand side. I think Luca Dean picks it up, lays it back to Yuri Tielemans, who puts the ball into the box. And because we've managed to recycle the ball numbers of times, we're managing to get players into position to pick up the clearances. And I think it might have been a poor header from Conor Cody. He heads it down and Ross Barkley controls it on the chest and lashes the volley into the bottom corner. And that's 1-0 Aston Villa on 58 minutes. And you know what? Barkley, I've said about goals from midfield, and he has stepped up, to be fair to him. That's his 3rd Premier League goal. And obviously he's got one in the Champions League as well. So nothing can be put a criticism at his door. He has stepped up to the plate with crucial goals. And we thought that would be the platform for us to go on and score more goals and really win the game comfortably. But yet again, that leaky defence for Aston Villa rears its head. and just sloppy mistakes. And we're trying to take the sting out of the game rather than going for the game. And we're passing the ball around and being nonchalant and being casual. Ball goes into Ollie Watkins on our left-hand side. He tries to lay the ball back, I think, to Tyrone Mings and leaves it short. Jordan Ayew comes in and careers down the right-hand side for them, puts the ball across the box. I think it's Vardy who gets in front of the defender, has the shot. Emi Martinez does make a really good save to give him his dues, and ball bounces out to Mavididi. Matty Cash has come in too close to Ezri Konsa, and then he manages to put it through. Matty Cash, who tries to dive and block it, and it goes in 1-1, and we're only in the lead for about 6 minutes, I think it was, something like that. And yeah, Leicester obviously buoyed by that and really try and put us under pressure. But to be fair to Villa, they did react quite well to that, wrestled back control of the game, and on 76 minutes, we make some changes. Ian Matson comes on for Luca Digne, Emi Buendia comes on for Ross Barkley, and almost instantly, Ian Matson down that left-hand side wins the ball back after a promising attack, linking up with Ramsey, cuts the ball back, and actually Leon Bailey gambles at the near post for once, and he manages to finish really tidily into the bottom corner. And yes, absolutely brilliant for Leon Bailey. Gets off the mark for the season in January. That should hopefully give him some real confidence. And then Villa started to play with some real confidence after that. We could have got that third goal. We could have killed it off. Leon Bailey with another fantastic effort, which strikes the underside of the bar, bounces down and bounces out to Ollie Watkins. And again on his left foot, puts it over the bar from about 3 yards out, should be getting his head and his body over the ball and sealing the game for Aston Villa. Then another effort, he does fantastically well down the right-hand channel. Ball goes over the top. He beats Thomas, who tries to pull him back. He goes into the box, cuts it back for Buendia. All he's got to do is put it on target, but he puts it over the bar. And then I think, Leicester huff and puff try to put us under pressure. They make some changes. Patson Daka comes on. Buonanotte comes on. Bobby Reid comes on. Have one cross across the box, a couple of threatening crosses across the box, but ultimately a fairly comfortable seeing out of the game for once for Aston Villa, because you could imagine that tension after the Bournemouth game, after the Brighton game in terms of last minute goals. But we got that victory, a much needed win, because Brentford obviously winning today, Newcastle obviously winning today, so we needed to win to keep the pressure on, to keep in touch with that top five, because it's vitally important that we keep putting those wins on the board and staying in that hunt for the top six. At the moment, I have to say, I don't think we are looking as consistent, as confident, as creative enough to really threaten. We've just got to try and pick up as many points as we can. We've obviously got the FA Cup against West Ham to come. Then we've got tough away games against Everton and then the trip to Arsenal. So, look, the game's coming thick and fast. We've got to make sure we pick up these victories, but a much-needed win today. In terms of man of the match, I think Barkley had a good game. He was the one who stepped up in terms of tempo in that second half. But, Mings was okay at the back. But it was difficult to say. I don't think anyone really stood out. I think Tielemans was okay. I actually think he was better when he dropped back into that more defensive position. But I think it was a game that was very, very difficult. We knew what Leicester came to do, and we couldn't break it down until that goal went in. Then it opened up a bit. Then the players started to get a bit more space. So for me, probably Ross Barkley would get the man of the match, because he got the key goal and he's chipped in with big contributions for us. But you let me know your thoughts in the comments on man of the match, and who else deserves some credit. That's it for me. We'll be back with probably a full match reaction, then fans forum next week, match preview for West Ham. We turn our attentions to FA Cup, and also we'll be doing our transfer talk daily shows as well, rounding up all the latest news. Obviously, if there's an injury to John McGinn, that increases the need for transfers to come in this window. Obviously, Marlon and one or two others being linked. So fingers crossed we can get them over the line next week. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching, and as always, remember,